welcome back. This is Nigeria Watch, and we've taken some moments of respite to come back full scale. Let's get to the business of the day. The former Kano State Governor, Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso, Monday expressed satisfaction with the choice of Bola Tinubu's running mate in the 2023 presidential race. The presidential flag bearer of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Tinubu, nominated the ex-Borno governor, talking about Kashim Shettima, as his running mate. The 55-year-old banker-turned-politician, who is the senator representing Borno Central District, was described by Kwankwaso as a good man during an interview with Arise News, monitored on Sunday by the correspondent. Well, that's it. We have a lot of news headlines about Kwankwaso today, but on that note, let me quickly welcome to the studio the National Publicity Secretary of the New Nigeria People's Party. It's my pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Nigeria.
Dr.Agbo Major, it's my pleasure to have you here in the studio.
My pleasure to be here.
Doctor, what do you make of this report? Are you also of the belief that the situation as we are experiencing, the insecurity in Nigeria, is it something your party, the NNPP, can tackle, and how?
Oh, that's a very good question. Well, the thing is, we, as a party that is heavily grassrooted, a party that is in touch with the ordinary people, we've always believed, and will continue to believe, that security is about the people. No, the security agencies, no matter how much funds is made available to them, the police, the army, the Air Force, the Navy, and all of that, if you expect them to do magic with whatever volume of resources that is made available to them, you'll be making a large mistake, except the people themselves agree that this is the way we want to go. So the solution to this quagmire rests with the people. And as a party that belongs to the ordinary people, we've always believed that our approach would be that we will be challenging the ordinary Nigerians at the grassroots to see how they can secure themselves. You know, the greatest thing that can happen to a man is when he is challenged by insecurity. Nobody wants to thrive under that circumstance. Your economy, your business, even the security of your children, the safety of your properties and all of that is never guaranteed in a situation of insecurity. So the biggest way, the best way to do it is to throw the challenge up to the people. If past governments, including the present one, had approached it from this dimension, I'm sure that as we speak now, the insecurity challenges would have been, because these are human beings. The perpetrators of this insecurity are human beings like you and I. And they don't live in the space, they live with us. So what we need to do is to see that we take it upon ourselves to ensure that we secure ourselves, and the way we can secure ourselves is to look around, nose around, and see where the challenges are coming from. The good thing is lately there have been series of recommendations. Of course, we have a government in place that does not bother about what the citizenry says, but the approach Nigerians have always wanted and looked for is that this challenge should be thrown to the people. We've seen it happen in Zamfara, for instance. At a point, the governor came out to say, if the traditional rulers at the various levels are unable to deal with this challenge, it then means that we're not making any progress. That's a very good approach, you know, but that is peculiar to a state. But we're talking of a situation that is prevalent across the entire country. So this time around, under an NNPP government led by His Excellency Senator Engineer Dr. Rabiu Mohammed Musa Kwankwaso, come 2023, what we need to do is to replicate this across the country. We will be challenging not just the traditional rulers, but every Nigerian to ensure that we're able to guarantee our safety. We don't need to wait for the police to do it for us. We don't need to wait for the army, nor the Air Force or the Navy to do it for us. What we would be doing as a party and as a party in government is to throw up this challenge, and Nigerians will now be able to deal with this. I can tell you that the community approach to solving this problem is the best in this circumstance.
Why was it so difficult for your presidential candidate to have accepted the position of the running mate to Labour Party's Peter Obi? Why was it so difficult?
A very interesting question.
Yeah.
First, before I get to the perimeters,
yeah.
you know, that guided him into taking that decision, I need to let you know that before now, we had gone into this, thrown our heart into the ring with a mind to provide very pragmatic, you know, and purpose-driven governance for Nigerians. You know, so ab initio, we set out on a mission to rescue the country from the abysmal state we found ourselves. That's the guiding principle. Then when you come to the perimeters, you come to the indices, you know, that guided his decision. One, in terms of experience, he is more experienced. In terms of age, he is older. Then in terms of achievements, you know, of course, I shouldn't be the one saying that, but Nigerians should be able to look at what happened in Anambra State, for instance, under Peter Obi, and then look at what happened during Engineer Musarabi Kwankwaso's 8 years governing one of the largest states in the country, and then look at the massive infrastructural development that took place in Kano, look at the revolution in education, look at you know, the man's and closeness to the ordinary people. One of the guiding things, one thing that has made him a phenomenon is that he's just there for the people. You know, the man, his house is Mecca of a sort. He doesn't know the difference between somebody who is rich and somebody who is poor. You know, as I talk to you now, if you go to his house or any of his properties anywhere, whether he's there physically or not, what you see is a retinue, you know, of highly disorganized and disadvantaged Nigerians.
Okay,
Dr.
So Dr. Agbo,
these are the indices.
Okay, Dr. Agbo, in all of the things you have mentioned, I had particularly expected that since the inception of democracy in 1999, one would have expected that there is a region in this country that is yet to have equitable possession of a political power, talking about the number one seat, and that is the Southeast. I think wouldn't one be in a proper position to say that equity should have also been a criteria in terms of measurement in this regard?
Why didn't we clamor for this 10 years ago? Why didn't we clamor for this 15 years ago? We've had the PDP's 16 years and then the APC's 8 years put together. We're talking of about 20-something years. Since democracy returned in 1999, why haven't we clamored for this? You know, if we had, you know, consecutively clamored for this, it could be understood. But that we are coming one day when the country is on the brinks. We have a country that is fast going down. And we are saying that if we reduce the rescue mission to ethnic sentiments, we'll be running into a heavy hitch. We cannot get out of it. Remember that history is watching by the side, you know. By tomorrow, your children, my children will be asking, when Nigeria was at the precipice, my father was an actor politically. You were also an actor in the media industry. What did we do to rescue the country? Now, between you and I, why are we reducing the situation we have found ourselves in as a country? I don't want to start blaming anybody specifically, but all you and I know, and every Nigerian knows, is that we are deeply in a shit, you know, a situation that we need extraordinary activities or extraordinary approach to be able to get ourselves out of it. So at this instance now, why are we now reducing this very critical moment of our nation building to ethnic sentiments? Yes, I agree with you without any doubts. I'm not an Igbo man, but I'm somebody who believes in equity. I'm somebody who believes in justice. I'm somebody who believes in fair play.
Audio report that Kwankwaso had said, if I can't get it, I will recommend Tinubu. That's where we are right now. And I'm asking Dr. Agbo, do you see an NNPP, APC major coming together, assuming, like Vanguard said in quote, if I can't get it, Nigerians are already thinking that, oh, the NNPP we have been talking about that failed to go into political marriage with Labour Party is now looking in the side of the All Progressives Congress, the APC. So they're leaving big questions as to, is this a better marriage for NNPP, or what is at stake that we don't know? You may like to tell us.
The APC is the biggest opposite of NNPP. You know, we gave the NNPP Labour Party talks a chance. But I can tell you that talks, a possible one, Because if I say talks, it means there are indications that we're talking. But it is zero for NNPP APC talks. You know why? Where we are now as a country, we're under the leadership of an APC government, and Nigerians are completely disenchanted with what eventually they found themselves in. And if you are coming out to make a change, you cannot come and tell the electorates that you are coming to queue behind the people who have brought about the challenges that you are trying to change. So it's out of it, and like I said during my opening remarks, if we were reading this from 3, 4, 5 media houses, we would have said, okay, there are indications that His Excellency Engineer Dr. Senator Mohammed Musa Rabiu Kwankwaso said something close to it. But you see, it's not a new thing. Last week, he had the interview with the channels, and Nigerians, using the power of the social media, tried to turn, the discourse upside down to say that a lot of things that the Kwankwaso spoke against the Southeast and all of that. And but one thing is that we are not ready to be joining issues with anybody. But what we keep saying is that here is a man who believes genuinely in a Nigeria that works for all of us. So people are at liberty to, read upside down whatever he says. And again, we are back to what he said on Arise TV yesterday. Yes, as a Democrat, every man who is a Democrat would tell you, I am in this race, but in the event that I don't get there, whoever gets there, for the purpose of a country that works, I'll be ready to support the person. I'll be ready to, make my inputs as to how we can have a government in place. But I can tell you completely, not even 99.9, but 100%, that there are no chances of any form of discussions between the NNPP and the PDP. And the APC.
And the APC. But,
yes.
but do you think, before we go to the next topic, do you think the Peter Obi entrant into the NNPP would have brought the needed magical change?
Well, like I said, the mood of Nigerians at the moment, it's a clear departure from anything PDP, APC. That's the mood of Nigerians, especially the youths. And I have also said repeatedly that it's good to see the youths now interrogating the process, because in the past they were so docile, they were not coming out to even cast the votes. Now I can see them rushing for the PVCs. I hope that the PVCs won't be sold like we saw them do in Oshun, in Ekiti. And I'm sure that because of the pervasive hunger, it's likely to also happen in Oshun. But the truth is, let us see this mad rush for the PVC translate, into the youths, taking the future of their country in their hands. So, coming directly to your question, it is our hope that, let me not say it's our hope anymore, but it is our hope that the talks is revived, because the youths themselves, looking at the mood of Nigerians, the youths themselves were making calls. They were calling me, they were calling the national chairman of the party, they were calling the presidential candidate to say, sir, if you get this done, even by 12 noon, we would go to sleep, we would have taken our decision. So the job would have been easier, no doubt, But as it stands now, talks ran into a hitch because of some premeditated, intentions towards ensuring that the talks are derailed. This is deep politics, and we since then have been challenging Nigerians to ask questions. What really happened? Because the two candidates were talking. They were both governors at about the same time. They were friends. They attended national executive
But you've just told us that Rabiu Kwankwaso is older than Peter Obi, and that could also be a criteria. I'm asking, at what time in our country would age be a deciding factor for governance?
Well, for us as a party, for me particularly as an individual, I have always rooted for those within the youthful age class, to govern us at all the levels. But it's a gentle transition. Because if you look at the history in the past, the clamor for the youths to come on board is just beginning to now resonate. So it's not what you could achieve in 1-2 days. It's not what you could achieve in one electoral cycle or 2 electoral cycles. So it's a gradual thing. So if we are moving from the present president we have, who I understand is about 70-something, we are now coming down to an incoming president that would be in his early 60s or in his late 50s. I think we're making progress. Maybe the next electoral cycle, we will now be looking for somebody that falls within 50-something years. And then when we get that done, gradually we'll come to 40-something, which was the age of Emmanuel Macron when he became president of
The
France.
question is, do you think NPP is bringing anything to the table?
We have everything on the table. We're not just bringing, we have already. What we want to do as a government is already in public discourse.
Yes,
our manifesto speaks for us.
Yes, I've asked questions severally, like what are the manifestos?
Well,
what do you have on your manifesto?
First, the key thing, the spirit of democracy is that the people should have access to, the decision-making process. That's the guiding principle of our manifesto. We preach democratic liberalism. So whether you are disadvantaged economically, whether you are disadvantaged physically, whether you are disadvantaged in any form, the most important thing is that you are a human being that's alive. You have a stake in the governance of the country, so you have an opportunity to make inputs. When that happens, which is what we preach, by the time we are in government, you will discover that every Nigerian has access, towards making inputs towards the process of governance. When that happens, that's a clear departure from what we've seen in the past. So every other thing will naturally fall into place. Infrastructures, when you list a government that listens to the people, would be able to assess the infrastructural needs of the people. A government that listens to the people would be able to assess the educational needs of the people. So the key thing, the guiding principle should be that we should have a government in place that listens, which is what we haven't had, since our history of democracy. So what we are bringing to the table in direct reaction to your question is first, the people first. They should tell us what they want. We already know what they want. We know that the educational system needs to be revamped. We know that agriculture, the basic thing every government owes its citizens is agriculture. People should be able to eat food. That's the first thing, because the Englishman will tell you that the hungry man is an angry man. Then security. When you don't have control of, walking up to this studio, I was asking myself, this place is so quiet. Are we? It doesn't look as if we are still within the FCT and all of that. There's no presence of security anywhere, So I was telling the person who brought me, what happens if, for instance, we run into, hoodlums or whatever here now? What will I be telling my children? That I was going to do something that would enhance.
But I can guarantee you that you are monitored from when you are coming.
I agree with you. I agree with you, but I'm looking at it from the ordinary perspective.
You are secured being here.
Yeah, because you were monitoring me.
Yes.
But any other ordinary Nigerian that was going to come the way I came cannot be sure that he or she is safe.
He's protected.
That's the issue. So the key thing is security. And like I told you in the remarks I made a few moments ago, security is about the people. We will get the people deeply involved. It will be a community policing stuff, not necessarily rallying around the police as an organization. Yes, they would be the ones putting together the intelligence to do the work, but then the intelligence gathering would not be limited to the intelligence unit of the police. The intelligence gathering process would be the business of everybody. So these three key things, security of Nigerians, educational revamping the educational sector, and then making sure that there's food on the table for Nigeria. These are three things that would guide us in governance.
Dr. Agbo, do you agree with the public opinion that the flag bearer of the NNPP, your principle, is more of a regional, sectional leader? Because when you look at the reactions after the failure, when talks broke down between Peter Obi and we had the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOP, come out to say that Kwankwaso should not be linking their group, the group to Peter Obi. They said that with emphasis. We are yet to see an NNPP, a Kwankwaso that is largely accepted across the 36 states of the country. Are you convinced that your leader is not a sectional leader?
He's never. Now, before I get to what you are saying now, let me just cite a few instances. The business of assessing where our strength lies and where our weaknesses lie is the business of the party. And we have looked very closely at this, and we have seen that in the north, we're good to go. In the south, we have some little more work to do, because in politics, it's not over until it's over. And we have tried to deliberately get the presidential candidate to test the waters. He has visited a couple of states in the south. He was in those states. It took him over 2 hours to get out of the terminal building of the airport. those people that waylaid him and wouldn't let him go out until he talks to them were never Northerners. These were people, the good people of Edo State.
The Kwankwasias.
Well,
Are they still part of the Kwankwasia?
yes, and that's one thing I would also want to point out very clearly on air here.
Okay.
The general but erroneous belief of Nigerians is that Kwankwasia as a movement is exclusively a movement that, whose
North.
activities are limited to the North.
Yeah.
That's not correct, because recent events have proved that wrong. We've seen His Excellency go to Edo State. You could call them any name. You could call them Nigerians that are looking for purposeful leadership. You could call them the members of the Kwankwasia movement. You could call them members of the TNM. But what is important to us is that those people were never Hausas.
Thank you so much.
They were Edo people.
Thank you.
We also see him, he went to Ekiti State. It was the same thing. He went to Osun State about 4 days ago. The same thing. He went to Rivers. The same thing. He has gone also to Calabar.
Thank you, Dr. Agbo.
Dismissing him
in 60 seconds, the endorsement of Kwankwaso's endorsement of Tinubu's running mate in 60 seconds suggests that he is comfortable with the Muslim ticket. In 60 seconds. Is your boss comfortable with the Muslim ticket?
We are discussing politics.
In 60 seconds.
It makes the job easy.
Yeah.
Is that what Nigerians want? Are Nigerians, you can see the reaction, the barrage of reaction. You can see the depth of displeasure that Nigerians are expressing. We can't see this is a secular state. We have Christians, we have Orthodox worshippers, we also have Muslims. Why are you giving us a Christian ticket? So, that His Excellency, if he ever said it, that he said it at all, is like saying, thank you for making this job easy for us. APC has really made the job easy for us.
Okay.
By doing what Nigerians
Thank you so much. I wish we had time. We'll be looking forward to having you again.
I'm always available
on the show. Thank you so much. Dr. Agbo Major is the National Publicity Secretary of the New Nigeria People's Party. He's found time to talk about a lot of issues on the show. We're looking forward to having him on the show next time. This is where we're going to call it a wrap, and I want to say thank you once again for finding your time, and I want to let you know that you're always protected coming to our studio. Once again, I want
no problem. I don't have any. If I have issues in the course of trying to ensure that Nigeria works, my children would be happy when they are told tomorrow that your father paid that price in ensuring that the country works. So I don't have any problems with that.
So 2023, we're going to see NNPP on the ballot.
Oh yes, very seriously. Not just on the ballot, but forming government that would make meaning to Nigerians.
And that's where we're going to call it a wrap on the show. Thank you for finding time to be with us. This is where we're going to call it a wrap. We want to say a very big thank you. Abayomi Abomire is my director on control today. Really appreciate that. Of course, I want to say a very big thank you to the entire management of the BRTV TSTV. Let's do this again tomorrow, God willing. Enjoy your holiday. Don't allow yourself to be taken aback. Have fun with your family. Good night. You know I love you. Take care of yourself.